Welcome to the World Rally Championship. Get ready for a global journey across ice, snow, tarmac, mud and gravel with the planet's most talented drivers. The 2005 WRC season takes place over 6,000 kilometres of competitive stages, spanning 16 different countries and 5 continents. This is motorsport at its most extreme. Varying surfaces, landscapes and weather go to make the World Rally Championship a massive challenge for drivers and cars alike. They're pitted against the clock over special stages that can incorporate high-speed jumps, hairpins and water crossings. This is a truly worldwide experience, from the snows of Northern Europe, where the Swedish rally takes place, to the foothills of the Andes, home of Rally Argentina, and through the Australian outback. The backdrops are as impressive as the driving skills on display. And it's not just about the man behind the wheel. This is a two-man game. The pace notes delivered by the co-driver guide the driver through the stages. It's crucial these notes are inch perfect to hit high speeds, negotiate twists and avoid hazards. 2004 saw Frenchman Sébastien Loeb and co-driver Daniel Elena take the title on home soil in Corsica, with their French team Citroën also taking the manufacturer's title. Citroën are seeking to repeat this double in 2005 with Belgian François Duval in the number 2 car. 2003 world champion Peter Solberg remains as Subaru's number 1. He's joined by Australian Chris Atkinson and former F1 driver Stéphane Sarrazin. This looks to be one of the most exciting lineups, but the strongest appears to be Peugeot's. The French team acquired the services of Estonia's Marco Martin to provide backup to their long-standing number 1, Marcus Gronholm. The big question here is, has the team been able to cure the technical problems which held back the 307 in 2004? It's all change at Ford, with Finland's Tony Gardemeister and Roman Kresta of the Czech Republic starting as their 2 lead drivers. Mitsubishi keep Gigi Gali and Gilles Panizzi, but include Harry Rovanperä to ensure spice to their challenge. He only knows one speed, and that's fast. Skoda have the experienced German Armin Schwarz at the helm, but will be calling on a host of up-and-coming talent. France's Alex Bengay and Jani Passanen and Jani Tuohino of Finland, the drivers in question. So those are the names to look out for. Your job is just to sit back and enjoy the greatest spectacle in motorsport, the WRC 2005.
Reigning world champion Sébastien Loeb got the 2005 season underway in the shadow of Monte Carlo's famous casino. 360 kilometres of ice and snow-covered tarmac awaited him in the mountains above. Would the cards fall in his favour this year? Early on the first day, it appeared they would, as he built a commanding lead. And it was a good day all round for Citroën. Their new signing François Duval was lying second. This event is not one of Peter Solberg's favourites, his best ever finish being 6th, and he was finding problems as early as the first stage, losing his brakes on this downhill section. With Citroën looking to be in a class of their own, the battle to watch was the one for 3rd place between Peugeot's Marcus Gronholm, Ford's new boy Tony Gardemeister and Solberg, who was beginning to find his feet. The start of day 2 saw this become the battle for 2nd. François Duval collided with a telegraph pole on stage 6. The pole was broken in 2 and co-driver Stéphane Prévost taken to hospital for treatment on a badly bruised leg. Another driver in the wars was Skoda's Armin Schwarz. An error on stage 7 saw him roll out of the rally. A dislocated shoulder his reward. Mitsubishi were having a much better time with no sign of the mechanical problems which dogged their 2004 season. Gilles Panizzi ended the day in 6th. On day 3, the trio in the race for second place was separated by just over 20 seconds. Gronholm was holding steady in 2nd, but Petter Solberg was on a charge.
3, 2, 1, go.
On stage 11, he overhauled Tony Gardemeister, and entering stage 12, which passed over the famous Col de Turini, he was within 20 seconds of Gronholm.
Snow early, 6 right minus to ice, 6 left minus out.
But on the descent from the Col, he was caught by this patch of snow.
Opens 40.
It would be another Monte Carlo to forget for the Norwegian.
I had double caution ice and I braked just too late and just gained speed on the ice and went into the stone wall and took a wheel off.
Gronholm only needed to hold it together to record his best ever Monte Carlo result, but on the same spot where Solberg was caught out, again disaster. Making it back to service on 3 wheels, Marcus finished 5th. With the demise of Solberg and Gronholm, Tony Gardemeister inherited 2nd place, his best ever WRC result on his debut for Ford. And up to 3rd, Gilles Panizzi, Mitsubishi's first podium since 2001. But the top spot for the 3rd year was Sébastien Loeb's, a perfect way to launch his Drivers' Championship defence. So Loeb started the season with a maximum, while it was a solid debut for Marco Martin in the Peugeot in 4th.
The build-up to the Swedish rally had been overshadowed by the issue of snow, or rather, the lack of it. But a late flurry on the eve of the rally saved the day. Although the lack of deep snowbanks lining the stages would present problems. Despite an uncertain beginning, the 2005 event would provide one of the WRC's most gripping battles. The man setting the early pace was Petter Solberg. He won the first 2 stages of the rally, but a wrong tyre choice on the 3rd stage took the edge off the Norwegian's pace.
Right plus, don't cut, half long.
But it was a more fundamental error that would slow Sébastien Loeb's progress on stage 4. Step forward Peugeot's Marcus Gronholm, a 3-time Sweden winner. He hoped to give retiring team boss Corrado Provera a rally to remember. Recording fastest times on stages 3 and 4, he went into the lead. Solberg hit back on stage 6 and was back in the lead, but by just 1/10 of a second. The day's final stage was the short Hackforce sprint stage. What could Gronholm do in just 2 kilometres? He went faster by 3/10 of a second, ending an enthralling opening day as rally leader. And the day 2 action would match the fireworks of day 1. First blood to Gronholm with a win on the day's first stage. Solberg's response was absolute, beating the Finn by 9.7 seconds on the next stage to open a lead of more than 8 seconds. Gronholm wasn't going to take this lying down. Stage 10 saw him reduce the deficit to 6.2 seconds, after which he stated his strategy for regaining the lead.
Yeah, we have to make Solberg a little bit nervous now.
On stage 11, the lead reverted to Gronholm, and he increased it by a further few tenths on the following stage. Solberg fought back and won the last 2 stages of the day, opening up a lead of 12.6 seconds. He was sending back everything that Gronholm could throw at him with interest. Sébastien Loeb appeared to be settling for the final podium position, always in close attendance to the top 2, but never making an impact. But his second day would end with uncharacteristic mechanical problems for Citroën. The Zara had blown a head gasket. The team made sure Loeb was at the start line of day 2, but the mood at Citroën was downcast. Back to the action at the sharp end, Solberg was quickest out of the blocks on day 3 and increased his lead by a few tenths on the first stage. With the lead standing at 13 seconds, Gronholm had the choice to attack or settle for second. But to the Finn, victory is everything. There would be no points in Sweden for Gronholm, not the parting gift his team boss was looking for.
By finishing even second, he would have done a very good operation for himself, driver's classification, and for us, manufacturer. So I am a little bit disappointed, to be honest.
Loeb had hoped to nurse his ailing Citroën to the end. His lead over Marco Martin would have allowed this, but the strain had been too much and he would retire at the end of stage 18. Now the leaderboard looked very different. After struggling to find a comfortable setting in his Peugeot over the past 3 days, Marco Martin found himself in second place. While Ford's Tony Gardemeister was promoted to third, and with his 8 points from Monte Carlo, he was now leading the championship. But the man of the moment was Petter Solberg, virtually a home win for the driver from just across the border in Norway. And his army of fans showed their appreciation. 10 points for that win put Solberg level with Sebastian Loeb in the Drivers' Championship, but it was Tony Gardemeister who found himself heading the standings, and a double celebration for Ford, who also lead the Manufacturers' Championship.
It was a colourful Central American welcome for the crews at the third round of the World Rally Championship, the Rally Mexico. And it was an impressive debut for the latest evolution of the Subaru Impreza. Petter Solberg and Phil Mills with 6 stage wins. The Subaru pairing led the rally from start to finish. They romped home to their second successive win of the year.
Fantastic.
And Petter was determined to continue the party atmosphere of this event at the podium. The only serious challenge to Solberg's dominance came through the pack, picking off those in front of him one by one, culminating in making up the best part of 30 seconds on Tony Gardemeister and Harry Rovanperä on the final stage, his finishing position 4th. Solberg's winning margin over 30 seconds, Gronholm was second and Marco Martin third, helping Peugeot to take the lead in the manufacturers' standings. While Petter Solberg takes over the lead in the Drivers' Championship, Tony Gardemeister is overtaken by Marco Martin. One person who would want to forget Mexico was Ford's Danny Sola. The Spaniard was nominated as the second Ford driver to score points and had been lying as high as 5th before this happened. Ford data showed that the car was doing in the region of 80 to 90 miles an hour when it went off the road. It's true testament to the strength of these WRC cars that both Sola and his co-driver walked away unscathed.
Rally New Zealand, a foot to the floor, flat-out event. The drivers love it here.
Frein 25, super piège, droite.
And the man who enjoyed it the most was Sebastian Loeb. With the help of some new rubber from Michelin, he took the lead on stage 4 and stayed there. Loeb's closest challenger had been Marcus Gronholm. He managed 6 stage wins, but could never quite get on terms with the Frenchman. This was partly due to his Pirelli tyres, which seemed to be second best to Michelin in this event.
Always there is somebody in front. Seems to be difficult to win, but we have to try. Quite happy that we could keep Solberg behind. He have won 2 rallies this year, and now it seems to be that he's trying to have a small advantage maybe with the tires. I don't know, but this time hopefully we can catch them.
Petter Solberg had the lead for the first 3 stages. But day 2 saw him in a fight for second with Marcus Gronholm, who eventually outpaced the Norwegian. His consolation here that third was enough to keep his lead in the Drivers' Championship.
Opens up long and tightens. 15.
Further down the leaderboard, Loeb's teammate François Duval was happy to settle for fourth. This his first points finish after a difficult start to the season. Behind the Belgian, the battle to watch was for 5th place. Australian Chris Atkinson was leading the fight on the first day. However, a misguided change in setup on day 2 was to see him finish 7th in this three-way fight. Taking over the reins on day 2 was Tony Gardemeister. Also benefiting from the new Michelin rubber, he was in 5th going into the final stage. But Marco Martin had closed the gap to just 4 seconds, and a concerted push from the Estonian saw him finish the final stage 11.5 seconds quicker than Gardemeister, taking 5th place. However, the weekend had always belonged to Loeb. 8 stage wins and a minute's lead meant the battle was already won by the start of day 3, and the fans could just take in the spectacular scenery as Loeb cruised to victory. So a convincing win for Loeb, his second of the season. This helped him to move on to the heels of the championship leader, Petter Solberg.
The Mediterranean island of Sardinia was for the second time home to the Rally Italia. With 2 wins apiece so far this season, Petter Solberg and Sebastian Loeb were looking to gain the upper hand in the race for the World Drivers' title. But Peugeot's Marcus Gronholm is a man with a point to prove. He was fastest on the opening stage, showing he was in the mood to put a stop to the Loeb-Solberg dominance. But on stage 3, Gronholm was too quick. Not his fault, the blame lay with an incorrect pace note which saw the Peugeot enter the bend too fast. But now, disorientated from the numerous rolls, Gronholm's main priority was to find the right way up the stage.
Direction!
He made it back to service where his team amazingly got the car back in racing shape, and Gronholm would end the day back in the points in 7th. François Duval is another in need of a good result and was in 4th position entering stage 4. Another big off, and this time it looks like driver error. Duval reacting too late to a pace note. For the 4th time in 5 events, Duval would score no driver's points. Another driver feeling the sharp end of Sardinia was Mikko Hirvonen. Running in a privately entered Ford Focus, he had been as high as 3rd until this off-road excursion brought his rally to an end. This carnage had helped to restore the natural order. Sebastian Loeb found himself in a very comfortable lead, while Petter Solberg had fought his way up to 2nd after an indifferent beginning. But the man bucking the trend was Harry Rovanperä. Holding 3rd, he'd set a string of competitive times in his Mitsubishi to hold off the challenge of a pack of drivers, including Marco Martin and Tony Gardemeister. But Marcus Gronholm might prove a different proposition. After his day 1 travails, the Finn had worked his way back up to 4th, and entering the final day was just over 13 seconds behind his former teammate Rovanperä. But now Rovanperä extended his lead, and nobody was more impressed than co-driver Risto Pietilä.
Voitettiin molempia. Täytyy. Wow.
This was a stirring performance from Rovanperä and the Mitsubishi, but as we have seen before, Sardinia takes no prisoners. On the very next stage, Rovanperä found a roadside rock. A broken wishbone would mean retirement and heartbreak. Up in front, Loeb had entered the final day with a 55-second advantage over Solberg. He would need to take no risks. His 8-stage wins was a measure of how he dominated here. So Loeb's win puts him 1 point ahead of Solberg in the championship, and Gronholm closes on Martin in third.
After the destruction that had been dished out in Sardinia, if the crews were looking for some respite, the hot, rough, rocky roads of Cyprus weren't the place to be heading. The opening stage, Langudera, is regarded as one of the toughest of the season.
Eikä. Ja sammu koko auto. Engine stall. Engine has stall and we cannot start. Engine has stall.
Marcus Gronholm's rally was over. A stone had broken the timing belt and a bent valve saw him unable to restart the car. Punctures are always an issue here, and Harry Rovanperä passed Tony Gardemeister while he stopped in stage 4 to change a tyre. But when Rovanperä developed transmission problems a few kilometres further on, it was Gardemeister who needed to do the passing. And a moving target isn't quite as easy to get by. Armin Schwartz described this as his most difficult day ever. On stage 3, his co-driver lost his place in the pace notes.
Klaus, come on!
Normally when something is coming, it's deep.
Right 3 long, bump! Schau Dommel, schau wie weit noch!
And it didn't get any better, when later on the same stage the power steering on his Skoda failed. Petter Solberg had been holding second, but he was finding plenty of problems. Dirt in the air filter, an overheating engine and a failing clutch were all too much, and retirement was the only option. All this saw Sebastian Loeb end the day with a lead of more than 2 minutes. But elsewhere, Cyprus was still creating havoc. François Duval brakes too late for this stage 11 corner. And when he tries to restart the engine, the car bursts into flames. This was the Belgian's third big off in 6 events, a situation which would have repercussions for his future at Citroën. In third place, Henning Solberg had fought valiantly to hold off the challenge of Marco Martin, and he entered the final day with a lead of nearly 20 seconds over the Estonian. But on stage 15, the third of the final day, Henning had a problem with his throttle, causing him to briefly stop on the stage. The time lost allowed Martin up into the final podium position. Disappointment for Solberg Senior, but still a great performance. But without doubt, the performance of the weekend was that of Manfred Stoll and co-driver Ilka Meiner. After manoeuvring into second place at the end of day 1, they performed maturely, while more experienced factory-backed drivers found trouble. He would be the first privateer to take a podium position for 5 years, and a few of the major team bosses would be taking notice.
I'm very happy and it's a fantastic result for me.
But way out in front, yet again, Sebastian Loeb. 3 wins in a row, a first for him and a first for Citroën. Further down the leaderboard, Tony Gardemeister's 5th place gave Ford their 50th consecutive points finish. And in the manufacturers' table, Ford climb a place ahead of Subaru and are now 3rd.
As the WRC arrived in Turkey, all the attention was on Carlos Sainz, who was called out of retirement by the Citroën team as temporary replacement for Francois Duval. But yet again, it was the Citroën #1, Sébastien Loeb, who would make the headlines once the rally got underway. He won 10 of the 17 stages on the way to recording a 4th consecutive WRC win. The first time this has been done since Timo Salonen in 1985. But it was not all plain sailing. There'd been a lot of rain which had made the stages treacherously muddy. Here Loeb just about negotiates one such section on stage 7. The only man to get close to him was Mitsubishi's Gigi Gali, who was second fastest to Loeb over the opening stages and even had the temerity to take the lead briefly on stage 4. This was looking like the performance of the rally. But on the first stage of day 2, a pipe on his turbo became disconnected as he applied the revs to get off the start line. 2 stalls and a lack of boost through the stage saw him lose nearly 4 minutes. He would eventually finish 8th, disappointing but still a demonstration of what he and Mitsubishi may be capable of. Gali's second place was taken by Marcus Gronholm, and his battle for Petter Solberg would be from here on in the one to watch.
Oikein nopea, älä. Oikein nopea, älä.
Solberg had started the day 17.4 seconds down on Gronholm, but he reduced this on every stage until taking second on stage 13. Gronholm, although under team orders to finish at all costs, hung on to the Norwegian. But when Solberg posted a time nearly 10 seconds faster on the first stage of day 3, it looked like it was game over. His team boss David Lapworth seemed to agree.
10 seconds.
But these podium finishes would be of little consolation to these two, as for the 4th rally running they had still not been able to find an answer to the question of how to stop Sébastien Loeb. And with Carlos Sainz doing the job asked of him, bringing the car home safely in 4th, Citroën looked to be getting their bid to retain the manufacturer's title back on track as well. Loeb's winning margin just short of a minute, while Solberg holds off Gronholm for second and an impressive return for Sainz.
The 2005 Acropolis Rally opened in the Olympic Stadium in Athens. 60,000 spectators drowned out the roar of the engines as the WRC's finest went head-to-head over the 2.4-kilometre Super Special. As the drivers got back onto gravel, things didn't go well for Petter Solberg. He was lucky to survive this moment on stage 2, with just some severe damage to the rear end. But on stage 5, a broken drive shaft saw him lose his four-wheel drive and drop down to 14th place. Sébastien Loeb struggled with understeer on the first day, but still finished it in the lead, and with his more favourable start position on day 2, set about reminding everybody why he is top of the driver's standings. He won all the day's stages. Marcus Gronholm had the lead for most of day 1 and was running in second on day 2 when his Peugeot suffered a broken drive shaft, dropping him back to 4th. This promoted Tony Gardemeister to second place. The Ford driver had got the better of an entertaining battle with Carlos Sainz. But still, the great Spaniard seemed to be on his way to the 98th podium finish of his career in what looks like his last ever WRC appearance. Is this really goodbye for Carlos? Elsewhere, the prize for the biggest off of the rally went to Skoda's Jani Passanen.
Miinus pitkä.
the Skoda falling 20 metres down a cliff on stage 11. But for the 5th rally in a row, Sébastien Loeb was again the winner. Another WRC record falls to the Frenchman. At the halfway point in the season, his win tally stands at 6. One more would give him the record for the most number of wins in a season. But what was of more interest to Loeb was the absence of his closest rival Petter Solberg from the top 8. The Norwegian could finish no higher than 9th after his day one problems.
What about 5 straight wins? Are you a man that looks at records? Do you like that sort of thing?
Yes, I like it, but like I said, it's not my most important target. For me, the most important is to have now 23 points lead on Petter on the championship.
So Loeb extending his lead over Solberg in the Drivers' Championship, with Tony Gardemeister jumping up to 3rd. In the Manufacturers' Championship, Sykes' podium place helped Citroën to go in front of Peugeot.